This is a sneak peek at some fast character rigging ideas, and we can dive deeper into this during lab time. The first I'll do is a finger. So I'm just going to click twice with my pen tool. I'm going to turn off the fill, give it a solid stroke, and I want the width to be about the width of a finger. Then in my stroke, I'm going to change the line cap and the join to both be round. Now it's already starting to look like a finger. I'm going to call this fill because this is going to be the fill. I'm going to duplicate it, Command D, and I'm going to change the color of the stroke to whatever the color of the fill is. I'm going to make it that, and I'm going to make it a little bit thicker than the fill. I'm going to put it below, and here I can adjust it. And let's say I'm happy with this. So I've got a solid and I've got a fill, and now I want to make sure that they animate together. So the first step of that is on my fill, I click the stopwatch for the path. I got there through the shape and the contents. There's my path. Then for the stroke, I'm going to want this to match the motion of the fill. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hold down Alt or Option as I click on that stopwatch. Remember, this is for your transforms. This is the expression stopwatch. I'm going to grab the expression stopwatch, go up to the word path. So now, if I go forward with my selection arrow, I'm going to hold down Shift so I can deselect this one point. Now I can adjust the curve handle, and you see the stroke now follows the fill. Okay, that's the first part. I could duplicate these two and make the rest of the fingers on my hand, but there's one other thing I want to tackle, and that is if this is meeting up with the hand, I'm going to want to end the stroke here. So on the stroke, remember you've got to have your selection arrow to get to the add section of your shape layers. I'm going to go to trim paths, twirl that down. I'm going to change the start because that's the end that I want to meet. And I could always adjust the offset if need be, but this is lining up pretty nicely there. Right around there, and then that would meet up with the hand. So that's adjusting your stroke as well as parenting it to the fill. And you see that's working. That's the first thing I wanted to give a sneak peek at. Here is the second one. I'm going to delete everything from my scene. All right, we talked about Adventure Time, and I'm going to make my stroke a little bit thinner. Now, we were talking about the noodle arm effect that they got. Again, I'm opening up my path. We're going to go forward. I've got my selection arrow. I held down Shift to deselect one of the points. And like that, we've got an arm rotate there. That's one way of doing it. I'll call this option 1. Now here's another way of doing it. I'm going to do another rigid arm because there's bone in between these joins. I'll call this option 2. So we're familiar with this first way of working. This is a new way, and here's how it works. Rather than clicking on my stopwatch and animating it, first I'm going to click on the word path to have the path selected. So I didn't click the stopwatch, just the word path. Window, create nulls from paths. Now there's 3 options. I'm going to do points follow nulls. That means as these points, they're parented to nulls, and as the null moves, that moves the point. That's what I want. Points follow nulls. And I've got 3 nulls. I'm going to name them. This one's going to be wrist. This one's going to be elbow. And this one's going to be shoulder. I'm going to parent the elbow to the shoulder and the wrist to the elbow. Now you notice, since I did that parenting, if I rotate my elbow, the forearm moves, and it's keeping the proportions of the arm. That's the first advantage. I could also move the whole arm this way. I'm moving less path points and I'm keeping the overall volume of my character. That's the second advantage. Here is the third advantage. We've got nulls. The nulls are changing the shape of how the arm is moving. You can parent things to the nulls. So in addition to this wrist that I've got my path point to, I can draw a hand and have that parented to the wrist. I'm going to deselect everything so I can draw a new shape. And I'm going to get this no stroke and a solid fill. Now I'm just going to adjust that shape a little bit just to clean it up, just because even for this quick demonstration, that's way too sloppy. I'll call this hand. All right. So if I take my hand and I parent it to the wrist, as I rotate my elbow, the hand stays with the arm. Additionally, the wrist, I can rotate that null and the hand attached to it rotates. This is the more advanced, easier workflow for your character rigging. The same thing would work with the leg and a foot. I just wanted to show you those two options to have in mind. Additionally, let's take it one step further. I'm going to pre-compose the hand, and we're going to pretend this is the right hand. If I had multiple other hands, like making a fist or sticking up, hey, I'm number one, pointing your index finger, you would just swap out those other hands. In my project panel, I'm going to Command D, duplicate the hand pre-comp. This is my second one. Go double click to open it. I can alter this to make a different hand. So now we can say the person is pointing the finger, their index finger. So if I wanted to swap that into my scene, I just make sure the hand pre-comp is selected in the timeline. The new art to swap is in the project panel. I hold down Alt or Option as I drag over, and now that hand is right there. And it's still, oops. I just got to make sure I parent it back to the wrist. So now everything works. And if need be, I can go back to my other hand. Hold down Alt to drag it back in. And this time it kept the parenting. I must have undone the parenting the first time, but there you have it. Some fast, easy character rigging tips in After Effects.